Hello everyone, Cindy Saddleman here. It's time for part 2 of the Price is Right rankings. Now we're taking a look at all of the pricing games in the celebration of the show's 50th season on the air, or the second run, 1972, because there was a run on NBC and ABC that doesn't really get talked about that much unless you're in the fandom. But that's neither here nor there. And I just want to tell everybody that I like to thank you for the response on the first video and the first 10 pricey games. That we're going to talk about the next 10 pricey games that debuted. And this is going to take part from 1973, January 1st, 1973, to around the time Price is Right was going to experiment with a full hour of programming. And when we get to the next set, it's essentially the full hour when it becomes a full hour, with the exception of, I think, the first two pricing games that debuted during that time period. Well, here's how this works. I'll talk about the pricing game a little bit, how it evolved, and stuff like that, my personal opinions on the pricing game itself, and don't expect a lot of in-depth stuff. This is going to be quick because we got 10 to go through, and at the end of 10, I will insert these 10 pricing games into the rankings of what they were in the previous time. So, with that being said, we'd like to start with the Range game. It debuted April 3rd, 1973. It is still currently in the rotation, and I have to admit, if you're talking about a game that is nerve wracking and fun at the same time, I think the Range game fits that bill. When it started, as you can see in the picture, it had a $50 range. Then, after a couple of playings, it got boosted to $100, and then later on, it got boosted to $150 range. So, with the full scale being $600, like say from 800 to 1400 at the start, to get the 50, it was a 1 in 12 shot. For the $100 range, it was 1 in 6. And finally, currently, it's now like a 1 in 4 shot. So the game got made fairer as we pressed on during the time. And I really like it. I do like Range Game. Next up, we have High Low, which debuted a little bit after Range Game. Now, they played this game a little bit differently at the start. First thing I will say is I am not a fan of the original look of High Low. I do like the current version that they're using, which essentially was here since the 80s. But for High Low, they originally had it where you would pick an item and they would show you the price, and you have to decide whether it's one of the three lowest or the three highest. They did that for a few times, and then they changed the rules to where you have to pick the three highest priced items from that table. And then the lowest priced item in the high category would be the measuring stick. And if the other three items are lower than that, then you win the prize. I gotta say, I like High Low. It's a good pricing game. Um, Maybe a little bit played out nowadays, but it's still really good and well thought out. Uh, Now we get to a real clunker. Now, you could say for Bullseye 72 that there was a good concept there, but it was horrendously executed. Double Digits, on the other hand, was a horrendous idea and horrendously executed. In this game, they will show you four small items and give you the last number. And then two items that would be the first digit in the number. For example, they would show you an 8, and the first digit would either be a 2 or a 3. And then the next one be like a 7 or an 8 or something along those lines to go along with these small items. In order to win the car, you had to get all four of the items right. And with them being like a $10 swing, it gets almost impossible to win. And should come as no surprise that it went bye-bye within the span of, as you see, 2 months. And that is after a retooling. Now, we don't have an episode of the retooled double digits in the trading circuit because I don't think they aired on Game Show Network when they had the Price is Right license, mainly because I think those episodes had furs. So, and there's an edict with the Price is Right that if an old episode had a fur offered as a prize, you could not air it. That's why you don't see the first episode of the Price is Right ever, except for that first intro spiel for the new Price is Right, because the first prize ever offered on the show was a fur coat. Then one card game gets trashed and another card game takes its place, and that is Lucky 7. This is a venerable classic and always has the coolest design. I mean, this design was 1973, and I do love this old school style. The current purple and gold setup is still really luxurious too, and I really like that. So what happens is you have to guess the number that goes to the price of the car. The first digit is usually easy. The second digit, gets a little bit tricky. It's the third and the fourth digits where you're going to experience problems. But it's still an enjoyable pricing game. I like it. But there are other pricing games played for a car that I enjoy a lot more. I like Any Number more, and I like Money Game more. And this next pricing game, I gotta be honest. When I went to a Price is Right taping in 2018, uh, a lot of people get asked, what pricing game do you most want to play? And honestly, my pricing game that I want to play is this: Temptation. Debuted on the near the second season premiere, actually almost on the first anniversary of the show. And the object of the game is you're given a prize, and you have to pick the digit that will go in the place of the card. For example, they had, let's say there was some jewelry, and the jewelry was worth $335. Now, the first number in the price of the card would be a 3 or a 5. And then they'll give you another prize, and you have to decide which number goes to the price of the card. There's usually two numbers, and if they do have three, one of them is so wrong that you don't even consider it. And then you're offered a choice. You could take all of this stuff, which is worth around, in the early days, about $800 and $900 in prizes. Or you could go for the car. But if you get one number wrong, you don't get the prizes and you lose the car. But if you get the car right, you win these prizes and the car. And it's such an interesting decision on how people play this, especially nowadays, since sometimes you see a fishbowl of money. And that makes it even harder, because do you take the prizes in cash, which sometimes is in the range of like $800 to $3,000 in cash, and go for the car? So seeing that mechanic play makes me love Temptation that much more. And if you notice some similarities between Temptation and Double Prices, double digits. They retooled Double Digits for Temptation. And I gotta say, I'm glad this was the phoenix that rose from the ashes of Double Digits. And I just love this game. I honestly do. And if I did get called on stage, I would gladly have played Temptation. The next game that debuted was Mystery Price. This one is a little too convoluted for its own good. You're shown a prize that you normally see on a one bid, and you are shown other prizes that you have to guess the price of without going over. If you do get it, you get the prize, and the amount that you guessed goes into your account. You do this 4 times, and if the if the money in your account is more than the prize being offered, then you win a prize package. However, when it comes to those 4 items, if you go over, you don't get the prize and no money's put in the account. And it seems easy to play in theory, but some contestants do have trouble with the items and they will horrendously undershoot the price of the little items that they have on display. So they don't win, the big prize package. It's usually around $1,400-$1,500. And having to figure out all these prizes, it gets a little confusing. It's a good idea in theory, but it was just too flawed for its own good. And that's why it honestly didn't last. And now we get to another classic, still played today, the Shell game. This one debuted June 17th, 1974. Now you're starting to see games being spread out, because now they have a good amount of games in rotation. Very simple Shell game. You're showing a prize, and you gotta see if it's higher or lower than prize given. If you're right, you get a chip, and you place it on the marker. You place that marker in front of a shell that has what you think the ball will be in. And you do this 4 times so you can earn 4 chips. If you're right, if you do place a marker where the ball is, you win the big prize. When they're first off, that's pretty much it. But if you do go perfect, there's a bonus. Now, Barker had $500. Kennedy had $1,000. I think Barker later upped it to $1,000. And now with the current Drew Carey version, you win cash that equals the amount of the prize being offered. So it could be anything from like $5,000 to $9,000. So that's pretty impressive. Now, Shell Game's look has changed, but I have to be honest, I don't think anything compares to the old school Shell Game look. And it's a really good game. I enjoy Shell Game. I would like to see it played more. And now we move on to a little bit later on in 1974. Independence Day with Card Game. Now, originally in Card Game, you picked a card from a normal deck, and whatever you pulled out would be times 100, and that would be your range. For example, if you picked a 6, it's $600. If you picked a 10 Jack, Queen, or King, it's $1,000. Later on, they have that special deck from 200 to 1,000. Later on, became 500 to 2,000. Nowadays, 1,000 to 5,000. And you pick cards, and the amount of the card times 100 would be made the bid of the car. For example, if we drew a 4, $400, 8, $800. Face cards worth $1,000, so is the 10s, and aces are wild, you can turn them into anything. Now, early on, and for at least at least until 1985, it was $1,000. But when more expensive cars started to be brought in, they made the ace, and also speed up the game. Aces became wild, you can make it anything now without the $1,000 cap. So, getting an ace means Yahtzee, you can make the actual bid on the car, stop play, and see if you won or not. It is a difficult game to master, but all the same, it's a pretty darn good game. I'm not the biggest fan of Card Game, but I do appreciate it. Another game that I completely appreciate and really enjoy is Race Game. This debuted August 14th, 1974. Now, what happens with Race Game, as you could hear in the background, you're shown 4 items, and you're given 4 prices. You have to race to them, place the tags for what you think goes with each prize. Then you run back to home base, you pull a lever, and you'll either see a 0, 1, 2, or 4. That'll tell you how many prizes you have right. If it's anything less than 4, make changes, and you have to do all this in 45 seconds. And if you succeed in getting 4, congratulations, you win. if you don't get 4 before time's up, whatever you have right, you win. And the setup of Race Game hasn't changed at all. It's still the same setup, although they've updated the lights. And I honestly think Race Game is one of the funnest games you could ever play. Now, I don't think I've seen it during this past season because COVID, but I can completely understand why they don't play it. But it's still one of my favorites. And now the game that has given us more exasperated Bob Barkerisms in his entire career, 10 Chances. Because he will show up to the board, you'll see the numbers, first prize has 3 digits, second prize is 4 digits, and the car has 5 digits up there, and you have to get the price of the item. Like the first item will be a 2-digit prize, second prize will be a 3-digit prize. Originally, the car would be a 4-digit car, but with the advantage of 5-digit cars, you use all 5 numbers. Because having it be 6, it just makes it too impossible. So, you write down your price. If you're right, you get the prize. If you're wrong, you go to the next chance, and everything just gets pushed down the line. Now, with the configurations, with the first prize, there could be 6 different configurations. The next set of prizes, there's about 9 different configurations, and with the 5 digits, there's too many to count. At least for my tiny head, anyways. But if you take a look at old pricing game clips and you see 10 chances and you'll see some screw-ups, Bob will get exasperated. There is this one clip on YouTube where a contestant just screws everything up. And I think she's on chance 9 or her last chance. She wins the car. And she's like, I can't believe this dumb person won the car. I don't believe it. Yeah, get out of here, enjoy your car. Shakes his head, goes to commercial. But I love 10 Chances, I really do. It's a good methodical game. And I just find it really enjoying. And that is it for the price of games. Now, how do they fit in the rankings? We're going to start from 20 to 10. And yeah, I had to start with double digits at 20. It was bad. And then we got Bullseye 72, which, got reworked into Clock Game. Mystery Price was just too confusing for its own good. 17 5 price tags. I do not like 5 price tags, but it's a lot better than Mystery Price. Bullseye 72 or double digits. Double prices is essentially your baseline pricing game. Then you have Give or Keep at 15, Grocery Game at 14, High Low 13, Lucky 7 12, Most Expensive at 11. And then we get to the top 10, and there are some changes. Most Expensive is... Wait a minute. Oh, I might have screwed up. I did screw up. Did I put Shell Game on here? Well, let me fix that. I made a mistake. I forgot to add Shell Game. And we'll put Shell Game at 10. Yeah, I screwed up. Eee. So, Shell Game 10, Range Game 9, Bonus Game 8, 10 Chances 7, Card Game 6, Race Game 5, Any Number 4, and your top 3, Temptation, Money Game, and Clock Game. But pretty soon we're going to get to the 1-hour shows, and we got some heavy hitters coming up, and we have Golden Road, Poker Game, Hurdles, One Right Price, Danger Price, a lot of classics like Cliffhangers, Dice Game. Get ready, folks. And this next video will be up in September. I'd like to thank everybody for watching. leave what you think of these next 10 pricing games in the description, in the comments below. Like this video so, mechanics and, the algorithms and all that stuff. Also, comment, subscribe to this channel because we're doing this all throughout Price is Right's 35th season. And if you want to see all videos early, like if you're a Patreon backer, you see this video and all future videos a day before they become public on YouTube. So if you want to do that, become a backer at patreon.com/GameShowGumbo. I am Cindy Seidelman, and we will see you next time. But until then, this is Cindy White saying help control the pet population. Have your pets spayed and neutered. Goodbye, everybody.